very good afternoon and welcome to the Business News Summary on Independent Television Abuja. I'm Kiru Obuli. Starting off, the National President Road Transport Employers Association, Sheikh Musa Isiwele, has charged all chairmen of the association to be law-abiding and desist from any form of activities that will dent the image of the association. The RTEAN president said this while commissioning the Kwara State newly elected chairman of the association, Juliet Angua Hasmo.
Presenting the new chairman of Kwara State chapter of Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, Abdurrahman Olayinka, National President of Written Chief Sheikh Musa Iswele, called on the new state chairman of the association to be law-abiding and to lead with example. He, however, advised him to think of how to expand the state chapter, thereby creating job opportunities.
The way we did our election by selection. In the Kwara, if there's going to be anything, it is Kwara there. So they came here, we did it yesterday, we elected a new chairman. All the executives were elected, about 35 of them, and they were all happy. So as time goes on, we'll send it. We are going to Kwara to give them presentation of certificate of election. So maybe this meeting or next meeting after Ramadan will fix a date for that. The
president also urged unemployed youth in the nation to desist from waiting for white-collar jobs, encouraging them to embrace opportunity in the transport sector in order to thrive.
I'm expecting to see improvement and progress because this one is younger than that. Okay. And it's also very connected with the palace, the emir, and at the same time the police authority and with the government of Kwara State. Okay. So if you have all this backing, we expect the result from you. This man has been performing very well. Okay. He has been performing very well. He never disappointed us very well. He attends meetings regularly. He pays monthly due regularly. He buys the tickets and he said return the money. So he never made a mistake one day, inshallah.
The newly elected chairman pledged to be law-abiding as he takes the oath of office.
I thank the Almighty God that my predecessor, he won and he conquered. He did all his best. So this is the continuity. So I will take his legacy. Where he stops, I want to start from where he stops. So this is continuity. Of which I pray the Almighty God to help me, to let me achieve. We have so many things to do. We have our income revenue at our state secretariat. I promise to do it. To complete it in no time. So perhaps, I want to build on the loyalty of our predecessor.
The Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, has said that the federal government has saved 125 billion naira from first-class travel ban and others. For this and more, let's join Osawaname Bizwe.
On business news, the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, said the federal government was able to save the sum of 125 billion naira through reduction in travel allowances, sitting allowances and other recurrent expenditures such as office stationery between 2016 and 2017. She said the amount was saved through the activities of the efficiency unit, which was set up by the ministry to reduce the cost of governance. Adeosun said the unit had issued circulars to ministries, departments and agencies of government, advising them to take advantage of the quantity discounts of between 5% and 50% when booking for air tickets. This, she said, is expected to reduce the amount spent on overhead by the government. Giving a breakdown of the amount, the minister stated that the sum of 91 billion naira was saved from reduction in travel allowances between 2016 and 2017, while the balance of 34 billion naira was saved from office stationaries. A further breakdown of the 91 billion naira for travel allowances showed that the government saved 34 billion naira in 2016, while the 2017 fiscal period had 57 billion naira. For office stationery, Adeosun said the sum of 24 billion naira was saved in 2016, while the 2017 fiscal period had 10 billion naira. Adeosun further stated that the efficiency unit has embarked on several cost-cutting initiatives that have influenced the issuance of circulars to all MDAs by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, and the National Salaries, Wages and Income Commission. Following the depreciation of the Naira to its lowest level in 8 months last week, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, will this week increase intervention in the foreign exchange market and intensify liquidity map-up in the interbank money market in a bid to forestall further depreciation of the nation's currency. Reports revealed that the increased demand for dollars by foreign portfolio investors exiting the nation's financial markets persisted last week, prompting the CBN to intervene in the investors and exporters window for the second week, while also sustaining its weekly $210 million intervention in the interbank foreign exchange market. The intervention, however, failed to save the Naira from suffering its biggest weekly depreciation in the investors and exporters window and the parallel market. The Naira in the investors and exporters window recorded its biggest weekly depreciation of 72 kobo as the indicative exchange rate rose to 361 Naira per dollar on Friday from 360 Naira per dollar the previous week. Also in the parallel market, the Naira suffered its biggest weekly depreciation of 2 Naira as the parallel market exchange rate rose to 366 Naira per dollar last Friday from 364 Naira per dollar the previous week.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation says it has fine-tuned strategies to survive changing times. Blessing Umaru has this and other stories on Business News.
The Group Managing Director of the corporation, Mekanti Baru, disclosed these at the NNPC First Quarter 2018 Top Management Steering Committee meeting held at the NNPC Towers in Abuja. A statement by the NNPC spokesman Ndu Ugamadu said Baru admitted the tremendous changes at play in the petroleum industry landscape globally, adding that it behooved on oil companies to, as a long-term survival strategy, adapt to the changes for efficiency, growth and profitability. According to the GMD, some of the strategies considered by the corporation included reviewing key performance indicators, setting realistic targets for immediate sign-off, as well as spending items capable of improving the organization's bottom line. The Naira yesterday appreciated to 363.5 Naira per dollar in the parallel market in response to measures introduced by the CBN over the weekend to boost dollar supply. Meanwhile, Governor of the CBN, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, yesterday commenced on the spot monitoring of over-the-counter sales of foreign exchange by banks to customers in a bid to ensure compliance with the CBN directive that banks sell dollars to all travelers with valid documents. The electricity sector has recorded losses amounting to 187 billion naira as a result of inadequate gas, poor distribution and transmission, as well as water reserves constraints. The losses recorded, according to reports between December 2017 and May 2018, has affected the generation, transmission and distribution of adequate and stable electricity to consumers in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the electricity generation companies, GENCOs, the DISCOs and the Ministry of Power are battling over who supplies electricity to members of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, numbering over 1,600. DISCO officials disconnecting lines on electric poles. Connecting members are considered to be major stakeholders in the industry, as they pay bills amounting to billions of naira monthly.
The Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Nasima, has disclosed that a review of lending rate will attract foreign investments. Let's join Catherine Eyemese for this and more on Business News.
National President Nasima Alabi-Lawson stated this on the sidelines of a press briefing on Monday to review the state of the nation's economy. According to the Nasima president, the Central Bank of Nigeria's decision to retain the MPR and cash reserve ratio at 14 and 22.5% is not ideal to attract private sector investments. Citing data from the National Bureau of Statistics, Lawson stated that the Nigerian economy grew by 1.95% in the first quarter of this year, an increase she said could be traced to improvement in global oil prices and outputs. She observed that the nation's non-oil sector contracted from 92.65% of the gross domestic product in the fourth quarter of 2017 to 90.4% in the first quarter of 2018. She noted that the decrease showed that there was a lot of work to be done on the nation's foreign exchange reserves, which increased to $42.75 billion on May 21 after dropping for the first time in 8 months in the early part of the month. She noted that it was a good indication because it would lead to more liquidity in the foreign exchange market and help to stabilize the naira. The naira has come under pressure against the United States dollar in recent days, falling to 366 greenback on the parallel markets. The pressure follows the decline in the nation's foreign exchange reserves for the first time in 8 months. The external reserve slipped to $47.793 billion on May 14 from $47.865 billion on Thursday, May 10. According to data from the Central Bank of Nigeria. The reserves, which fell further to $47.784 billion on May 16, rose to $47.799 billion on May 18, but dropped to $47.754 billion on May 21. The latest CBN data showed. The reserves figure had not been updated as of the time of filing this report on Tuesday. Reports last Thursday stated that the naira was seen under pressure as portfolio investment continued to exit local treasuries due to lower yields. The international oil benchmark Brent crude on Tuesday continued its biggest losing streak since February, falling below $75 per barrel. The turndown in oil prices came on the heels of worries that Saudi Arabia and Russia could pump more crude to compensate for a potential supply shortfall, with hedge funds reducing bullish position in crude. Brent, against which Nigeria's crude oil is priced, dropped to $74.89 per barrel as of 4:40 p.m. Nigerian time, while the United States West Texas Intermediate slumped by $1.50 to $66.38 per barrel. Following the rally in crude oil prices, the National Assembly increased the oil benchmark price for the 2018 budget to $51 per barrel from $45 proposed by the executive. The Brent price has fallen nearly 7% since hitting $80.50 on May 17, its highest since November 2014. That's all on Business News. I am Catherine Eyemese.
We'll take a quick break now. When we return, the Business News Summary continues. Please stay with us.
Independent television is live 24 hours on GoTV, channel 107, Star Times, channel 130. And now you can watch from any part of the world on Roku TV, Smart TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Android TV for your favorite programs, news, current affairs, and lots more. You don't want to miss our objective and balanced reportage, entertainment, and sports. Now follow us via our social media channels on Twitter at ITV Radio NG. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ITV Radio NG. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/ITV Radio NG. Visit our website for more news stories and lots more, itvradioNigeria.com. Watch ITV via live streaming on the internet, itvradioNigeria.com/live, and click on the TV stream option. Also remember to visit your mobile app store and download the ITV app so you can watch on the go. Independent television, certainly the best.
You're welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is the Business News Summary on Independent Television Abuja. Now to other reports. The Senate has confirmed 4 out of 5 nominees sent to it by President Muhammadu Buhari as non-executive directors of the board of the Central Bank of Nigeria. National Assembly's correspondent Sawaname Bisbe reports that the chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, is saying the committee was inundated with petitions against the 5th nominee, Dr. Abdul Abubakar, and that he was not cleared.
The Senate, at Thursday's plenary, after considering the report of its Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, approved the nomination of Professor Umu Jalingo, Professor Justina Unabuko, Professor Mike Obadan and Adeola Adetunji as non-executive directors of the board of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Reading the report, Chairman of the committee, Senator Rafiu Ibrahim, said the committee has duly screened the nominees, noting that it was inundated with petitions against the fifth nominee, Dr. Abdul Abubakar. Senate President Bukola Saraki, in his remarks, charged the newly confirmed non-executive directors of the board of the Central Bank of Nigeria to work towards uplifting the economy.
Distinguished colleagues, the Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance and other financial institutions and other on the screening of the Mr. President nominees for appointment as non-executive director for the board of Central Bank of Nigeria, and approved the nomination of 1. Professor Umu Ahmed Jalingo, Professor Justina Indenachukwu, Professor Mike Obadan, and Adela Adetunji as non-executive director of the board of Central Bank. Nomination of Mr. Abdul Abubakar referred to the committee for further legislative action.
Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu had said that issues surrounding the non-confirmation of Dr. Abdul Abubakar should be revisited by the committee.
And the Central Bank of Nigeria says it has extended the frequency of sales of foreign exchange to licensed bureau de change operators to 3 days. Avi Ogwari has this and more on Business News.
With stiff competition for buyers in Europe and Asia from both Mediterranean and United States oil grades, Nigerian crudes have felt the pinch badly in the past few weeks. Reports quoting traders say, consequently, the influx of United States grades into refineries in northwest Europe and the Mediterranean have continued to undermine the Nigerian market, which has resulted in a handful of cargoes from Nigerians' June loading program remaining unsold. Force majeure on exports of Nigerians' Bonny light crude have remained in place, according to a spokesman for Shell on Wednesday, while repairs are ongoing on the Trans-Ramos pipeline, which feeds crudes to the Forcados terminal. While Nigerian grades are struggling for the competitive oil market, Angola cargoes were said to be gradually clearing as at Wednesday, helping nudge crude differentiates higher. Unfavorable arbitrage both east and west have hurt demand for West African light sweet crudes, particularly from traditional buyers such as Indian refineries that have started to snap up shale instead. And also, the Central Bank of Nigeria said it has extended the frequency of sales of foreign exchange to licensed bureau de change operators to 3 days. CBN, in a memo titled Development in the Foreign Exchange Market, Review of Weekly Foreign Exchange Cash Sales to BPC's operators, signed by the Acting Director, Trade and Investment Department, Mrs. Achugo, stated that, consequently upon that, purchase of foreign exchange by BDCs shall be on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. This was against Mondays and Wednesdays. She said that bureau de change operators are to ensure that their accounts with the bank are duly funded with equivalent Naira proceeds on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. Also, the regulatory authority said authorized dealers are expected to continue selling foreign currencies for travel-related invisible transactions to customers and non-customers over the counter upon presentation of relevant travel documents such as passports, air tickets and visas. Meanwhile, members of the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, chaired by Senator Rafiu Ibrahim, yesterday screened President Muhammadu Buhari's nominees for the Central Bank of Nigerian Board. Buhari had in April 2017 nominated Professor Umu Ahmed Jalingo Northeast, Professor Justina Odineka-Chukwu Nnabuko Southeast, Professor Mike Obadan South-South, Dr. Abdul Abubakar Northwest, and Adeola Adetunji Southwest as non-executive directors of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
And for Business News Friday, our correspondent is standing by.
According to a statement in Abuja, the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mr. Maikanti Barrow, gave the clarification to members of the Senate Committee on Petroleum Upstream who were at the headquarters of the corporation in Abuja on an oversight visit. Barrow said allegations of non-remittance of funds had become a recurrent decimal over the years, occasioned in part to the nature of the corporation's operation, which involved credit lines requiring constant audit and reconciliation. Barrow stated that such allegations usually arose from disagreement over expenses borne by the corporation on behalf of the federal government. On effort by the NNPC to ensure that joint venture and production sharing contract partners do not run excessive bills at the expense of the nation, the NNPC boss explains that apart from the establishment of an efficiency unit in the corporation to ensure value for money across all operations, NNPC had also done a lot in renegotiating contracts as well as benchmarking costs in keeping with international best practices. Earlier, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Petroleum Upstream, Senator Motayo Alashuadura, who led members of the committee on the oversight visit, said the committee would like to have a month-by-month crude oil production figures for the past 2 years and crude prices for the period. Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has released its Purchasing Manager Index report for May 2018, which indicated that though economic expansion persisted for the 14th month in manufacturing and non-manufacturing sectors, the rate of expansion has slowed down. The CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, said the manufacturing PMI expanded by 56.5% in May, though slowed down by minus 0.4 basis points from 56.9% recorded in April, while the non-manufacturing PMI grew at a slower rate to 57.3% or minus 0.2 basis point in May from 57.5% in April. According to the CBN, out of the 32 subsectors surveyed in the period, 24 recorded growth when compared to 27 subsectors that recorded growth out of the 33 subsectors surveyed in April. The manufacturing and non-manufacturing PMI report on businesses is based on survey responses, indicating the changes in the level of business activities in the current months compared with the preceding months. A composite PMI above 50 points indicates that the manufacturing or non-manufacturing sector of the economy is generally expanding. 50 points indicates no change, and below 50 points indicates that it is generally contracting. Following the consistent bearish run that has dominated the Nigerian Stock Exchange in the last 2 months, the year-to-date return Thursday relapsed to negative zone, closing the day's trading at 0.4%. This was after NSE was adjudged one of the best performing exchanges in the world in 2017, having recorded a huge 48% return during the year. At the close of trading Thursday, the key performance indicator or shares index settled at 38,104.54 points compared to 38,243.19 points at which it opened the year. A development market analyst attributed to investors' perception of country risks ahead of 2019 general elections. So, investors may want to be very conscious in order not to make some investment decisions that will be eroded by political events.
And that has been the Business News Summary on Independent Television Abuja. Many thanks for staying with us. I am Q Obuli. Have a nice day.